Hey YouTubers, I wanted to make a discussion video because of something that I just I did a little research on. As many of you know, if you've seen my videos, the first video I ever posted on my YouTube channel was a video showing an error on my VHS copy of Herbie Rides Again, which was a copy from 1983, of course 1984 print date and everything. And what I was going to show you today is I of course now understand that the MPAA screen and the Buena Vista logos on this tape actually come from the Shaggy Dog. They were actually on the Shaggy Dog VHS release of this time. And I finally figured out, or I believe I figured out, why the Buena Vista logo from the Shaggy Dog wound up on my copy of Herbie Rides Again. And I'm going to talk about that in this video, and I'm going to show you guys some evidence to support my findings. Just a little something interesting if you are kind of into like all the little interesting tidbits about VHS and home video, especially when home video first came out in the late 70s, early 80s. This is kind of a neat little thing I like to look into. But anyway, I'm going to get along and get on about my discussion about my VHS copy of Herbie Rides Again and why it has this unique error on it. So yeah, as you can tell, the MPAA and Buena Vista logo completely out of place on this VHS copy of Herbie Rides Again. Of course, like I said, it's a it belongs on the Shaggy Dog. It's the Buena Vista logo from the Shaggy Dog, and one of my commenters pointed that out after the video was uploaded, and I did my research and I found out that that was indeed the Buena Vista logo from the Shaggy Dog. As a matter of fact, what I found out later on is kind of interesting, because I did my research on when the early VHS releases came out, and I did find something very interesting. What I did is I went to Wikipedia and I was looking at the history of Walt Disney Studio Home Entertainment, and I'll provide the link for you in the description. But basically what I did was I scrolled down and I saw all the listings that they had, the entire history of Walt Disney Home Video, even from when they started releasing VHS and beta back in the like of course around 1980, and when they did when they released a few titles on MCA DiscoVision. And I kept scrolling down, and I found something pretty interesting. I was going by the stock numbers, of course. The stock number for Herbie Rides Again in the early VHS release was number 42, and depending on whether it was VHS or beta, it would say VS or BS. Something else, and as you can indicate by this screenshot that I took, the Shaggy Dog, of course, number 43, they were both printed on the same day, October 15th, 1981, and as you can also tell, there was a lot of different printings from around October 1981. It's really interesting that Herbie Rides Again and the Shaggy Dog were, of course, printed around that time, and their stock numbers are so close. So that's how I was able to determine and come up with this conclusion. What I believe happened is that when, of course, they were transferring both films to VHS, somehow there was an editing mistake that part of somehow the Buena Vista and MPAA screens for the Shaggy Dog accidentally wound up on the VHS master for Herbie Rides Again. That's why it opens with the black and white MPAA and Buena Vista screens, which are, of course, completely befitting Herbie Rides Again, but belong to the Shaggy Dog. And you know, now this, like I said, this is a pretty interesting thing. You know, kind of like an interesting little oddity of how this happened. But that's my determination that there was an error in which an editing mistake or a transferring mistake happened, and the MPAA screen and Buena Vista logos for the Shaggy Dog accidentally wound up on the tape master for Herbie Rides Again, and that's why the Herbie Rides Again 1980s VHS opened with the wrong MPAA and Buena Vista screens. And that's, of course, my determination from what I had just found out and what I was able to determine, that it was an editing mistake. And of course, from my understanding, of course, this was when VHS and all that was still, this is when they were coming out, and I mean, a very interesting video oddity. You know, there's a lot of video oddities in a lot of these early VHS and beta and Laserdisc releases. Just something kind of interesting about, you know, how, you know, you can find all these little oddities. You know, like you watch a certain print of a film and you notice that, you know, something's not right with the video transfer. And of course, this is before they did film restoration and all that, and you know, kind of a neat little oddity. Something that the people who did the duplication work for both films kind of failed to notice. Like an honest little mistake, but you know, still very interesting. And well, I guess that's it for this video. Just like I said, just a little neat discussion.